So as I said, he is an incredible speaker. His name is Sergeant Travis Mills. He has an incredible story to tell about resilience, lessons learned that he can share with us about his own life, as well as things that we can apply to our own lives. He's a retired United States Army Staff Sergeant. He's a motivational speaker. He's a New York Times bestseller. He recently opened a restaurant. He was on TV last night with his wife, who is clearly much smarter than him. He's a tireless advocate for veterans and amputees. On April 10, 2012, he was critically injured on his third tour of duty in Afghanistan by an IED. He lost both legs and both arms. He's one of only 5 quadruple amputees to survive such injuries. Unwilling to give up on life, Travis embraced the motto, never give up, never quit. In the last 10 years, he's inspired millions, including me, sharing his remarkable story of resilience, his perspective, and grit with audiences around the world. In September 2013, Travis and his wife, Kelsey, the smart one, founded the Travis Mills Foundation, a nonprofit organization formed to benefit and assist post 9/11 veterans who have been injured in active duty or as a result of their service to our country. He's been quoted as saying, "My uniform doesn't fit quite the same as it used to, but that doesn't mean I can't continue to serve my fellow veterans and this country in many other ways." It is my privilege to introduce true American hero, Travis Mills.
It was, but then that was hairlines ago. I got Bosley, I want you guys to know. It's only a month out, but I'm working on it. Wonderful introduction. That's a lot different than what we talked about earlier, by the way. When I got here, you were like, "Hey, Travis, I'm going to run these jokes by you. Let me see what you think." And I was like, "All right, hit me with it." And you were going to come up here and you were going to say, "What do you call a guy with no arms, no legs in the ocean?" He asked me if I knew that. And I was like, "Yeah, it's Bob." He goes, "Oh, you know that one. Okay, cool." Yeah, he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to say, what do you call a guy with no arms, no legs, in the wall, on the wall?" It's like, art, you know? And I'm like, it's kind of offensive though. He goes, no, because then I'm going to finish up with, what do you call a guy with no arms and legs in the room today? Travis Mills. No, I never even told you to say that because I actually figured you would. And then the joke that I just told wouldn't make sense. No, I'm excited to be here, but now I'm knowing you guys, this is like some of your first time being back here in a year and everything like that. Like I'm a little bit nervous up here. I'm just like, oh man, I just hope I hope I don't bomb this. You know, because last time what happened? All right, good. So, I like to have fun, right? I like to tell jokes, I like to have a good time. Things help set the tone for how today's going to go. So I like to open up with a few witty things. Like, the first thing about me I want you to know, number 1, is that I'm awesome, okay? And number 2, I'm actually humble. So, that's my order, awesome and humble. And then also, we should be friends. Let me tell you a secret you can take home and tell your friends and family so that you can be like, I met a guy and we're best friends now. Here's a big secret, right? I don't wash my hands. I use the bathroom, I don't wash my hands. I wash my hand. Are you kidding me right now? I know. You know, I just like to tell jokes. I really think it helps disarm the situation. Knee slapper if you got them. I don't. But if I can be serious, this is kind of like my therapy session too. You guys don't know that you're who I talk to. So I went to the doctor the other day. The craziest thing. He goes, Travis, oh my gosh, you got something wrong with you. I'm like, oh, no. Now what? And he's like, well, did you know that you're lactose intolerant? Lactose. I do. All 10. All 10. So that's no. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen. All right, good. I hope I've set the tone for you guys to look past the injuries and let's have a good time today. I'm going to tell you a story. All right, so on the screen right now, you'll see my wonderful wife, Kelsey, and our daughter. Everything in my life at this point is going absolutely fantastic, right? We just had our daughter, just bought a house, and they just got promoted to staff sergeant. So you couldn't ask for anything better. And I have the best wife in the world. No offense to anybody here that's married and think their spouse is the best. You're supposed to think your spouse is the best. Here's how I actually know mine is the best. When my daughter was born, the sweet angel came into the world. My wife went through 14 hours of labor. You know, while she was over there just going through it, I was taking a nap, you know, getting ready. So she has our daughter, and we're like, oh, we're overjoyed, we're excited, and we're like, what are we gonna name her? Oh my gosh. So we thought maybe Madison or Avery. And my wife looked at me exhausted, right? And she gave me the heaviest sigh you've ever heard. And she goes, we have to name her Chloe Lynn, don't we? I was like, no, we don't have to. Why do you think that? And she looked up at me, and she's like, because you're an idiot. You have your ex-girlfriend's name already tattooed on your arm. Which, no, I mean, granted. So we named her Chloe Lynn to make my tattoo make sense. That's not true. That's from Michelle. She's terrible. Yeah, we'll talk about her. But anyways, like I said, my wife is top-notch #1, and we just had our daughter Chloe. Now, I don't want to start the story there. I'm going to back it up a little bit. I'm from a very small town. I've heard rumor. Is there anybody here from Ohio? So like, always? Sucks. I'm from Michigan. It's the strangest thing. I can spell Michigan all by myself. It takes 2 people to spell a 4-letter state. I know you feel like you're in Afghanistan. You didn't see that coming. Anyway, so I'm from a small town in Michigan. All right, at the top left of the screen, you will see my mom and dad's favorite day in their whole entire lives. Yeah, that's April 14th, 1987, when their favorite child was born. You guessed it, it's me. So, looking at the pictures, you can see I have siblings, older sister, younger brother. Let me tell you what happened, sequence of events here. They had my sister first, the doctor said, it's a girl. My mom said, crap, my dad yelled at the doctor, not what we wanted. So, back to the drawing board. Then they had me, and they saw me, and they wept big old tears of, you know, just blubbery mess, and all I could say was perfection. And before the doctors even handed me my parents, they put this orange stuff on my forehead. They held me to the ceiling and played the circle of life. The chosen one had been born. Then my parents got a little cocky on their winning streak, and they're like duplicate me. They thought they could definitely just make another one of me. They had my brother. They always named him Daisy, you know what I'm saying? For like, whoops a daisy. Now I grew up in a small town with a wonderful family. I played sports, right? Football, basketball, baseball. I did some powerlifting, right? I still hold a junior high shot put record. I thought you guys should know that. You know, whatever. Then I made it to high school, and I was the varsity captain of the baseball and football teams and the basketball teams. And like so in this room, like when I met Felipe Toro, when I met him, I was like, oh my gosh, so much in common. We're both so good looking. We're both astute, you know, businessmen. You can tell. You can tell. And we both peaked in high school. So it's like the best days, you know what I'm saying? Soul bar behind us. We locked eyes and I knew. So check this out, right? I was a linebacker. I'd make tackles. I'd throw them to the ground and get right in their face, like, your mom, dad never wanted you. And I would just really, you know, get up here with them. And then I would run the football. And you think this guy just might catch me? But no. Touchdown, Travis Mills. Oh, glory days. A hairline, no waistline. Look at me now. So anyways, after high school, I had a choice to play football or baseball. I chose to play football at a small community college in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I played this brand new position. Ladies and gentlemen, in high school, I was a kicker, punter, fullback, linebacker. And in college, I played the sideline. And like, I was so good at it. I was there all season. You know what I mean? So, I redshirted, whatever. So anyways, the season was coming to an end, we won a national championship. And I was in class one day, and the baseball coach from the high school, or when we started the college, came down and got me out of class. He goes, hey, my starting catcher broke his shoulder, my backup transferred. I got your scouting report. Like I was all-state catcher and whatnot. He goes, I got a starting spot for you. Do you want to play? And I was like, oh, coach, I play football. And he looked at me, he's like, yeah, but do you? Apparently he'd been at the games, I guess. And I was like, oh, hey, that sounds awesome. It's an amazing opportunity. I'll let you know tomorrow. So here I am, 18, in my own apartment. I live 2.5 hours away from my mom and dad's house, right? And I go back to my apartment and I call my girlfriend and I tell her all the great news. I'm like, oh my gosh, Michelle, you're never gonna guess what happened today. And she's like, that's amazing. They want you to play baseball. And then she's like, but I thought like you were gonna move home for me. And I was like, oh, well, why? No, because then she was like, well, because I love you. And I'm like, oh, right, duh. So I went back to that baseball coach the next day. He said, coach, I'd love to play for you, but I really can't. My girlfriend says she loves me and I gotta move home for her. And he looked at me and he was just like, oh, that's stupid. You know? And I looked at him and I said, you're stupid. And I moved home. And 2 weeks later, by accident now, I met her other boyfriend, Colin. Yeah. So I joined the military because of that. And when I look back at my life, like how this happened, how I lose my arms and legs. It's her fault. Yeah. Like I don't hold a grudge. I don't want you guys to think I'm like petty or anything, but like, you know, if she fell down the well, it's like, oh well. So, now college wasn't my thing, right? I knew I wanted to do something where I could go back to college, and I started talking to recruiting, stations. That the military, excited me, something fun and adventurous. So I went and narrowed it down from the Army and the Marines, right? The other 3 branches, they were great, but I was like, nah, let me just do this. I went to that Marines office, and I walked in, this 6'4", just bald-headed, barrel-chested man stands up, real behemoth, you know the type. He's like, you want to be a Marine? And I was like, I don't know. So tell me about it, bro. He did not like being called bro. Okay? I was like, tell me about it, bro. He's like, I'll put you in a career field. And I said, what's that even mean? He said, well, you pick a job you can't get, or I can't get you in that field, I'll put you in a different one. I was like, you can't pick your job here? He goes, I'll put you in a career field. And he's just like, I was going to automatically get it. I'm like, hold that thought. Went to the Army. I walked in, the guy's like, hey man, you want to join the Army? I said, I don't know, tell me about it. He said, I'll give you a $24,000 signing bonus. And I looked at him and said, I'm no dummy. Hold that thought. I walked back, right? You do when you buy a car. Walked back to the other salesman across the hall, to the Marine, and said, hey, what's your signing bonus? This man stands up again, puffs his chest out again. He goes, honor, duty, respect. And I was like, that's all yeah. I want that. But I'm talking cash money, you know what I'm saying? And he goes, there's no money here. And I was like, what idiot was doing that branch of service? Marines, that's who. So dumb. But don't tell them my jokes. They won't get them, so don't tell them what I'm saying. This ain't the South, the Marines, bless your heart. So anyways, I joined the Army. $24,000 signing bonus. You know where that money's at today? Me neither. Probably not a good thing talking to risk management. I tell you guys no more money. But anyways, right, so $24,000 signing bonus. I joined the Army. I go to basic training, then I go to Airborne school, learn how to jump out of airplanes. Apparently, people think that's so cool. Like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, gravity. I guarantee you're going to land. You jump out of that airplane. Then I made the Fort Bragg home to the 82nd Airborne Division, greatest division ever known to mankind. And when I got there, my unit that I got to was deploying to Afghanistan. So we went overseas for 15 months. I was over there, started lifting weights 3 hours a day. Because that she devil, remember how she broke my heart? I wanted to repair myself. And I found these, supplements in Germany. Oh, look at the patch, still got it. Anyway, so I start working out, I'm crushing it, and I have a medic named Josh Buck from Texas, and everything, Josh's life's going pretty great. He's married, got his daughter on the way. And he goes home in late September of 2007 for his daughter to be born. And while he's at home, ladies and gentlemen, I get a MySpace, that's right, MySpace before Facebook. I get a MySpace friend request. And this picture pops up, you're looking at right here, right? You got the cowgirl hat, the brown blouse, the jean skirt, and you're like, I'm looking at her, I'm like, that's obviously a dating site or spam, I don't know. And I went decline, but then I realized, wait a second, that's the same last name as my medic. Oh yeah, put on my Sherlock Holmes style hat, did a little super sleuth detective work. And I found out my medic told me everything about himself, except for one key crucial factor. He had an 18-year-old sister in college. He didn't tell us. What a jerk. I know. But lucky for me, she thinks I'm cute. So, I'm at a real crossroads here, quite the conundrum, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. Do I hit accept and upset my friend, or hit decline and respect his friendship? The medic is supposed to save my life if I get hit. Well, there's one thing in life I'm really good at, okay? And I'll give you, for instance, it's called antagonizing people, but here's how I know that. When I was injured in Afghanistan, my mom was by my bedside the one day, and I said, Mom, why did this even happen? And she looks down at me and she's like, well, Travis, karma. She didn't really, okay? I'm sure she thought it, but she didn't say it, no. So I hit accept, me and this lovely young lady start chit-chatting. Here she is, 18 in Dallas, Texas, going to college. Here I am, 20 in Afghanistan, and we decide we should hang out. I get 18 days of R&R, so it makes sense. I'm coming home in late December, we should hang out, right? We're enjoying each other's conversation. The only thing we gotta figure out is where we're gonna meet up. Michigan, where I'm from, or Texas, where she's from. We go back and forth. The only logical thing that we could think of was a week-long trip to Mexico. So I booked it. Never met her before, flew into Dallas to pick her up, knocked on the door, her dad answers the door, his knees are trembling. He's looking up at me, he said, please don't hurt me, sir, Now I'm like, I'm not gonna hurt you, buddy. And he's like, and I gave him a noogie, so he knew we were friends. And he's like, thank you, sir, or whatever. And he walked away and I smacked him on the butt as he left. I said, now get on out of here. And away he went. And yeah, now that I think about it, that didn't happen that way. I think it's also important you guys know my right-hand man, Afghanistan thing. He is my father-in-law, Mr. Craig Buck, sitting right over here. Raise your hand, Craig. And he didn't kill me. I'm gonna go to Mexico for a week, right? Back to Michigan for a week. I go back to Atlanta to fly to Afghanistan. She goes back to Dallas. And I get held up for the night for my trip back to Afghanistan. So I give her a phone call. Hey, I'm in Atlanta tonight. You want to come back? She goes, yep. She jumps on a plane, flies back to Atlanta. You're very smart people in this room. You see where $24,000 actually is going. Next morning, standing at Dubai, she's got these crocodile tears streaming down her face. Real ugly cry. You don't want to look at me. You have to because you're a gentleman. In between her sobs, she's like, I love you. And I fire right back out there. I'm going to lose my girlfriend I met 2 weeks ago. No way. I said, I love you too. That's right. Tears, they were still there, but they were drier. And then she says between her sobs, I want to marry you. We're going back to Afghanistan for at least 3 months, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I want to marry you too. Tears dried up completely. Biggest smile shot across her face. 3 birds actually. Sure, the most beautiful song. The Atlanta airport. 2 rainbows shot across the sky. And a unicorn ran out of the terminal? It was just majestic, okay? So I strut my stuff back to my airplane. Verbal jujitsu the crap out of that conversation. Hashtag winning, there's hashtags. I fly back to Afghanistan. 3 days later, I get to my base, I give her a phone call. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And she's all excited. She's like, oh my gosh, Travis, guess what? And I'm like, I've been on an airplane, I don't know what. And she said, the wedding's planned. And I went, oh, right, yeah. For our last conversation, that makes sense. So what am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? I call her dad, make sure he's cool with it. He's like, yeah, no problem. We verify through the phone. I go to Zales.com, buy her a ring, obviously. Come back and have get married, have a wedding, get an apartment in Fort Bragg, and get a dog. Ladies and gentlemen, I take every chance I can to brag about my dog, Buddy. He's got a unique name. I know you probably never heard of a yellow lab named Buddy. But everyone's always like, Travis, you want a dog? And I'm like, I have a dog. And I'm like, yeah, but do you want a service dog? I'm like, no, I have a dog. Then they look at me like, yeah, but you want a dog that listens. And I say, excuse me, whoa. And I show my dog Buddy's tricks off. I look at Buddy and say, hey, Buddy, sit when you want. And eventually he sits down, he does. And then I'm like, be barking. I'm like, stop barking when you feel like it. We live on 20 acres in Maine. He used to walk off into the woods. And I called for him, and he looked back at me, And I know dogs can't talk, but if he could, he's like, you're gonna chase me, bro? And I'm not gonna chase him. So I put an invisible fence in. Got him, you know what I'm saying? And people wonder, when I have a bad day, how do you relieve stress, Travis, when you have a bad day? I throw the ball over the fence. Hilarious. I'm kidding, for all you dog lovers, I can't throw. I bought a pitching machine from Dick's Sporting Goods. So we get the apartment where I get the dog, everything's going great. I go back to Afghanistan for a year, right? So I go from 9 to 10, a lot more firefights, a lot more excitement. Took 4 showers in 1 year, believe it or not. Like, not by choice. People wonder, not by choice. And, it was a pretty fun deployment, a lot of mixing it up and whatnot. And on the way back home, I call my wife once every week or 2 weeks. And on the way back home, one of the days I gave my wife a phone call and she answered and she's all giddy and jazzed up again. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? She's like, Travis, oh my gosh, guess what? And I'm like, red flag. Because last time we got married. You know what I'm saying? Which was a great decision. She's saying it was surprising. And I was like, I don't know what. And she said, I bought a house today. And I went, that's wow. And I was like, but you're in college. I got thinking, like, you have no income. How did you buy a house today? And she said, well, do you remember that power of attorney that you signed? And I said, yeah, for banking. She goes, no, it's for everything. Yeah. And she said, Travis, you bought a house today. In truth, I re-enlisted on that deployment, knowing I liked the military. I was going to be in for a while, and I bought a house with my wife in my brother-in-law's neighborhood next to him and his family. And you know what? Like I said, everything was great. I came back, had a house. My wife and I, had a baby in 2011. My daughter was born, and I just got promoted to staff sergeant. Everything was awesome. And then my unit was going back to Afghanistan for a 9-month tour. And the big army gave me orders, said, hey, Sergeant Mills, you got over 2 years of combat experience. You can take this one off. We need to stand a new brigade up in Fort Hood, Texas. And we want you to be a part of the non-commissioned officers that go there. You see, out of 40 guys in my platoon, I was the 3rd highest ranking enlisted guy out of 40 at 24 years old. And the big army said, hey, sit this one out, you don't have to go. Well, if you guys have been a part of the team, you know you have to. My wife understood the calling and the brotherhood. She knew that these guys came from all across this nation to serve underneath me, believed me, and that I was their boss. And I went to my sergeant major and I had my orders canceled. I said, hey, if I have to go to Fort Hood, I will. Obviously, the Army can make me do whatever. But if I can deploy, I would love to do that with my guys. And he understood, so he got my orders canceled. So in February of 2012, I went to Afghanistan for a 3rd trip. And when we were over there, the first day in country was like a massive firefight. We got in a really big mix-up in Taliban. Ended up, I got a Bronze Star that day for actions on the battlefield, and we just, had like a 7 or 8 hour troops in contact, back and forth. Second day was the same thing. 3rd day, same thing. It was a very hot and intense zone. And it went on like that. And a month and a half in, we got a phone call from a village elder, which is pretty typical. And he said, hey, we need some help in the village. Can you come out today? Like, yeah, no problem, we'll be there. And on April 10th of 2012, we went on patrol. And we always swept the ground, not once, but twice. And the guy in front of me, the sweeper, marked it clear. I took my backpack off, 120-pound backpack, and I set it on the ground. And when my bag hit the ground, it landed on one of the bombs that he had missed, unfortunately. When the bomb went off, it tore off my right arm, right leg instantly. I was thrown to the left side of my face, and when I rolled over on my back to see the aftermath, my right arm's gone, my right leg's gone. They never found those pieces, they just disintegrated. My left leg was snapped through the bone, muscle and tendon holding it on. But my left ankle bone touched my left thigh. And my left wrist is blown out pretty bad, but I still use my thumb, index, and middle finger. So I'm looking at the aftermath, and I'm seeing this, and within seconds, my medic is on me, and my platoon sergeant's on me. And they start putting tourniquets on both arms and legs. And while they're doing this, I'm telling them, hey guys, don't worry about it, you're not gonna save me. You see, in my line of work, I've seen guys die for a lot less injury, I thought. So I thought, you're wasting your time. I have guys yelling for the medic, and it's okay. Go save my guys. And in my head, as weird as this sounds, I kept seeing the movie Saving Private Ryan. In that movie, Meg gets shot in the stomach. He realizes he's going to die. He freaks out, yells for his mom, begs for his life, and ultimately dies. And I told myself, no matter what happens, I'll never react that way. So instead, I was going to stay calm. If I faded out, I faded out. Tell my guys I did a great job, and to not worry about it. Instead of my medic listening to me, he ignored me. right? Tourniquets on my right side within 40 seconds. My platoon sergeant put tourniquets on my left side within 40 seconds. And while they're working on me, and I'm not sure what to do, I reach up my trucker mic in my chest, and I radio my lieutenant, hey 6, this is 4. I got guys injured, I need your medic with mine. Doc Voice comes over to work on the other 2 guys, Brandon and Ryan, and then he works on me. They get me on a helicopter ride to Kandahar Hospital. Then they get me off, and they're taking me through the hallway to surgery. As I'm going down the hallway, I keep trying to sit up. I get to my elbow and I sit up, and a nurse will push me down. Third time she did it, I yelled. I said, hey, quit touching me, I'm fine. Like, leave me alone. I've got to get back to my guys. I even said, I just get my feet back underneath me, I'm gonna go, I'm fine. And she looked at me and said, Sergeant Mills, I don't know how you're still awake right now, but you need to go to sleep. And she pushed fluids and knocked me out. And that's when I realized, okay, I'm no longer gonna be in control of this situation. And the last thing I said to that nurse before I faded out was, my little girl, am I ever gonna see her again? And my daughter was only 6 months old at the time. And I faded out. And then 9 doctors and 7 nurses worked on me for 14 hours straight. 2 nurses actually took turns pumping air in and out of my lungs for 9 hours, just like you see on TV. And I was given over 400 units of blood, which was the most blood ever given to anybody in Afghanistan at the time. They ran out of blood in the blood bank that day, so they donated A positive and universal blood from their veins, the doctors and nurses, to me. And they did a mass call on Kandahar Air Base to have everybody that was A positive universal run over and donate blood. So 14 hours of surgery, and I had both legs gone and my right arm. And I come out of the surgery stable but critical. And while that was all happening, you see my brother-in-law got the phone call. He was in a new part of Afghanistan about what happened. And before you deploy in America, 17, right, or in your 60s or 70s, you fill out paperwork, and the Army is called a blue book. And the blue book is really morbid. You plan your funeral, right? When we buried here with this music, with this kind of ceremony, with this in my coffin, right? And the last question is, who escorts your body home? So I always put Josh, and Josh always put me. So they call Josh, like, hey, Travis might die. It's a good possibility we need you to come to Kandahar so you can escort him home to his, to his wife and family. So he comes in, but I come out of surgery 14 hours later, critical but stable. 2 days after that, they fly Josh and I to Bagram. They take me in for a washout on the 12th of April, and they realize my skin has necrotized, which means it died around my hand. They cut that off, and I became a quadruple amputee. And then 2 days after that, they flew us to Landstuhl, Germany, and they woke me up from a medical sedation. They let me come to finally from my unconsciousness that they put me in. And when I finally woke up in the hospital bed, the only person in the room was Josh. And I looked over at Josh, and I saw him, and the first thing I said was, my soldiers, how are my soldiers? It's always mission first, you know what I mean? He told me, Ryan's here in Kandahar, Brandon's back, or Ryan's here in Landstuhl, Brandon's back in Kandahar, you took most of the blast, so you're gonna be okay. Sorry. And then I said, am I paralyzed? He said, no, you're not paralyzed. I looked at him and said, Josh, you don't gotta lie to me. I can't put my fingers and toes, man. Tell me the truth, am I paralyzed? He said, you're not paralyzed, Travis, but you don't have them anymore. And he just told me straight. And the only thing I said was, oh. And then for 3 hours, I ignored everybody. The doctors would come try to talk to me, the nurses, Josh. And I would always just look the opposite direction and stare at the ceiling. Because I have my own questions, right? Like, am I a bad person? Does God hate me? What did I do wrong like to deserve this? The bigger question was, how can I still be a husband and a father? And then the biggest one was, why didn't I just die? Not suicidal, but like, why didn't I just die? Like, how is this gonna be better? And after 3 hours of those questions circling in my head over and over and over, Josh chimes in, hey man, I'm not gonna tell you what you're going through, but you gotta call your wife and your parents. I said, yeah, you're right. So I called my wife, and she answered. The only thing I said was, hey, what's up? I'm fine. Love you, bye. I didn't want to deal with it, I didn't want to deal with it. And then I called up my mom and dad, same thing. Hey, what's up? Fine, love you, bye. My mom, before she hung up, she said, hey, Travis, happy birthday. Because it was my 25th birthday that day that I woke up in Landstuhl. 3 days after that, I made it back to Walter Reed. And as I got there on the truck that brought me in, they pushed me towards the hospital. Kelsey came running out towards me, right, 23-year-old wife with my 6-month-old dog around her hip. And before she got to me, the doctors were surrounding me and the nurses. They stopped Kelsey and said, Mrs. Mills, your husband's right leg is ripped open and suture's split. We have to cut 2 inches off his right leg, or he will bleed out and die. But we need you to sign this paperwork because you are now in charge of the medical care. So they gave her this clipboard and she didn't know what to do. So the doctors were telling her to sign it, that everybody's getting me prepped for emergency surgery. And through the crowd, I just yelled, "Hey, Kelsey, just sign it. Just sign it. It'll be okay." So she signs it, and they just take me away. The next day, the 18th, right, out of surgery, I'm able to talk with Kelsey. And when I see her, I just say, "Hey, you know what? You don't have to do this. I've been thinking about it. You should take the house, the cars, any money saved up, they're all yours, and financially, whatever you need, I'll provide. But you can go. This is not what you signed up for." I mean, it's a big responsibility. 23, with a 6-month-old, having a husband that used to be 6'3", now no legs, no arms, laying in a hospital bed, and road recovery is not looking very promising. And the only thing that got her to say she would, say that she would stay with me was the idea that handicap parking was gonna be that great. Now, she was actually a little bit offended that I told her she should go, and she said, "That's not how this works. We'll get through this together." So, ladies and gentlemen, I get the chance to go around this wonderful nation and talk about these 4 things that got me better, right? Motivation, goal setting, healthcare technology, like how this stuff all works. You think that hurts? It doesn't. Oh my God. Legitimately, the first time it fell off, a little painful, but now it's like every day. And then life's all about perspective, right? Truly, it's all about perspective, and that's how I live my life, so I'm going to talk about that as well. So let's get to motivation, right? My wonderful wife said she's going to stay with me, which is a big choice for her. In my head, it's a big choice. For her, it was easy. Then my daughter comes in, and I think she's going to be so afraid of me. My 6-month-old daughter comes in, lays on my chest. I think she's going to be scared because I look like a monster, right? I got thick lining coming out of my neck. I got sticky, monitor things on my chest. I got wound vac machines on my legs, bandaged everywhere. And she lays on my chest, and she starts to laugh and giggle and play. And I'm like, how is she not afraid? And then it dawns on me, oh my gosh, I look like every single toy she's ever been given. No, think about it, right? Short arms, short legs, fuzzy chest. I'm a teddy bear. Over these children are going to get better, but how am I going to do it? Well, into my room one day walked a robot. And the first thing out of his mouth was, "Hey man, welcome to the club." And I shot right back like, "I don't want to be in your club." He looked at me and said, "Kind of late now, don't you think?" So, yeah, you got me there. And then he told me, "My name's Todd Nice. I'm the 2nd ever quadruple amputee. You're the 4th. I saw your story on the news. I reached out to the hospital to come in from my house in Missouri to tell you a few things. You're not a bad person. You did nothing wrong to deserve this. You're going to be absolutely fine. You're going to walk, drive, feed yourself. Everything you think you can't do, you'll be able to do. You're in the absolute best place for you." And 2 things went through my head that day. Number 1, I'm not alone in this, right? Someone's already recovered and done this, and I have a study guide I can go off of. And 2, recovery is probably going to be super easy. Think about it. He's a Marine. He did it. How hard can it be? So, after I found my motivation to get better, I started setting some goals. The first thing I want to be able to do, I want to be able to use a hand again. So 5 weeks into my recovery, I learned how to use a hand, how to open it and close it and rotate it and all that stuff, and then take it home for the first time. And I went to the fishing house with my mom and dad, my wife and everybody were staying, and I had this delicious bowl of lasagna, and I remember picking that fork up with that spoon and digging into it, with a fork, sorry, and taking a massive bite. I think I even said, "This looks good." Then the camera cut off. The next thing I said was, "Can someone please give me some milk? It's too hot. I shouldn't have." I mean, you've been there, right? Like, I shouldn't have done that. Should have done that. But I was feeding myself again. I know. I do it too much now. Thanks a lot. Wow. Real friendly. Real friendly. I'm just kidding. Love the green shorts. So I was able to use the hand again in 5 weeks. Then I decided, I want to start walking again. I want to have legs again. So 7 weeks and 4 days in my recovery, I took my very first steps at Walter Reed. And the Military Advanced Training Center is probably half the size of this room, right? 27 laps makes a mile. They said, "Hey, you're probably going to walk 1 lap today." And I said, "Wow, I'm going to go ahead and walk 3." So I strapped my legs on. It was very painful. It felt like my feet were cement bricks. It felt like my blood was pulsating so bad, like in the socket, that I had to I couldn't go on. But I did 3 laps a day just to prove myself that I could do it. And at the end of that day, I felt like, okay, this is something I can do. So just shy of 2 months, I was up and walking again. Then, ladies and gentlemen, I had to also let you guys. I had to let you guys know that on my birthday, I didn't want to call my parents, didn't want to call my wife and deal with the situation, but I had to call my unit. I told my brother-in-law, find my guy's number so I can talk to him. I called my guys in Afghanistan. When they answered, I said, "Hey guys, thank you for all you did. Don't worry about me, I'm fine. Because of your quick action, I'm gonna live through this." And I made them a promise I would be there when they got home from Afghanistan. I said, I'll be right next to Sergeant Major and General of the 82nd Airborne Division to give you a big old hug when you get home. And that day they came home, I worked out 3 hours at Walter Reed to get approved to take my legs home for the very first time out of the hospital. I drove 6.5 hours home after that. I made it just in time. And the top left picture is a documentary reenactment, but the bottom right is me hugging Dan Bateson, the medic who saved my life. Saying, hey man, thanks for making this possible for me to be here today. Welcome home. Now, those are some short-term goals I had set, right? Now, long-term goals, when I met Todd Nicely, he actually brought in 4 firemen from New York City. And they're part of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, the Stephen Slater Foundation, Tunnel to Towers 5K. And they said, hey man, we have this 5K we want you to come be a part of. And I was like, yeah, I'll walk it. And he looked at me like, Travis, I mean, like you're still in a hospital bed, you haven't, you probably won't walk it, but if you come, we'll push you. I said, well, I'm gonna try to walk it. I said, yeah, just come either way. I said, I will. So late September, right, I went ahead and flew up to New York City, strapped my legs on, and I started to walk this 5K. And here I am going through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, and I'm thinking, let me see how far I can get. I get into the tunnel, right, my back's starting to kill me, and I'm like, okay, I need to sit down. When I come out of this tunnel, I'm gonna sit down. I've done enough, I've done enough. I'm proud of myself. But I came out, and to my left and right was 343 banners around 343 first responders, and the banners had names and faces of the brave men and women that perished on 9/11. And I thought, Jesus, these brave men and women could, give everything on 9/11 until they perished in the rubble. I should be able to finish this last mile. So I went ahead, I didn't care about the pain, I finished the last mile of the 5K. I rubbed my leg completely raw. Actually, I was bleeding into my liner. My back was killing me. It looked like I just got out of the pool. I was drinking so much sweat. But afterwards, I got invited up on stage. There was a band playing. Have you guys ever heard of Lieutenant Dan Band? No big deal if you guys haven't. You guys know who Gary Sinise is, right? Lieutenant Dan, of course, now. Don't make it weird. He's my personal friend. I could call him right now. I mean, that's how close. I could. I'm not going to, but I could. If I get up on stage, it feels like 20,000 people deep just cheering for me. I'm like crutching left hand. My left hand has my crutch, my right arm like waving, like, be my friend. Be my friend, I hope they know. And then this coder across stage for audio I didn't see catches my toe. And guess what happened next? Yep, you guessed it. Down I go. The whole crowd, oh. On stage was he had to be 6'9", just knight in shining armor named Brian. He picks me up like a rag doll, right? Just like, whoop, under the armpits, whoop, up I go. Crowd goes nuts. Brian, he has no idea how prosthetics work. He sets me down abruptly. Whole crowd. Oh. Yeah. Don't worry though, because Brian, very determined man, not deterred by this at all. Picked me up again. Whoop. Always run around me in a circle. Don't drop him, he's not ready. I get my crutch set, I get my leg set. Brian goes, are you good? I look back at Brian, and I'm like, I'm good. He steps back, right? The crowd goes wild. And this ogre comes in with this big old bear paw mitt and goes, hey man, we did it. Bow, knocks me down again. The whole crowd, they start yelling mercy. I stood up and I yelled freedom. I did. Real Braveheart moment, if you ask me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. I live in Maine. People will say, well, if your wife's from Texas and you're from Michigan, why do you live in Maine? Well, because when I said let's go to Michigan, she said no. She's from Maine originally, and I said let's go to Michigan again. She took my arm off and she hit me with it. And she said, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself. So I live in Maine, where she's originally from. But I want you guys to know I live there because I drive. And this is very important. If you guys are between Portland or Bangor, Maine, be very, very careful. I'm an absolutely terrible driver. No, I mean, I say that joking, but I think I am. A license for me nowadays is $550. Yeah, $50 I failed, but you know what I'm saying? 500. Passenger. People love me so much in Maine, the Maine State Troopers gave me a special badge. Like I have an actual metal badge. Guess what my registration for my vehicle is? It's inside that wallet they gave me. So I can pull over like, oh, here you go. And all I tell them is that my foot got stuck. I'm so sorry, I couldn't feel it. But anyways, I drive 2 vehicles. I have a van and I have a truck. My van, by the New Balance logo on my shoe, the little blue button, that does everything. My left leg hits that, it beeps once, it's a left turn, 2 beeps is right turn, 3 is a horn, 4 is a dimmer switch, 5 is a windshield, wipers, 6 and 7 are windows, and 8 is cruise control. Off that one button. A little gray box, a box in the bottom, that's my throttle, right? I pull back 2 inches, I'm 0 to 60, you better watch out. This is 14 seconds, I'm gonna get there. Push forward, that's the brake. So that's my van. My truck is hooked up like with just blinker systems on my right shoulder. I drive with my right leg, like everybody else, my legs are Bluetooth, and I grip around. But if you guys do come to Maine, just be where, I don't even drive those vehicles anymore. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna tell you what I drive. I don't want you to see it coming. But anyways, I can drive, right? Take my daughter gymnastics and lacrosse and all that stuff, and my wife on dates. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when I was at Walter Reed, my wife and I were showing so much love and respect and support, and the reason that the wall had me on the show last night because they wanted to highlight the work that we do with the Travis Mills Foundation. My wife and I started a nonprofit to give care packages overseas. It was simple, $5,000 from ourselves. We're just going to go ahead and give care packages overseas to the units that my buddies went to that are overseas again. And when I wanted to do that, just to be relevant and helping give back, I went on all these really cool trips to Walter Reed, learned how to go snowboarding and kayaking and whitewater rafting and downhill mountain biking. And this picture right here is downhill mountain biking. They put me on a 9,000 foot mountain in Mount Crescent, Colorado. They cinched me to the seat. I couldn't get up if I wanted. Then they took my prosthetic hands and they duct taped them, right, to the handlebars. And then I put a helmet on my head and I looked up at this guy and I was like, now what? And he said, don't die. And I said, huh? He pushed me down a mountain. But I went 9 times that day because it was awesome. And I realized how lucky I was to be injured so unfortunately. It's a lot to take in. You see, on those trips, the service member gets to go. And if they need a non-medical assistant, which I still require, Craig helps with my legs on every day, my arm on every day, and I can't button my pants, right? Imagine, that's what Craig helps me out with, and my wife and a few other people, they get that privilege. But my wife got to go on these trips with me. And when we were on these trips, I realized, oh my gosh, I can still do things. I'm not gonna be able to teach my daughter how to play soccer, or throw a softball, or whatever. But I can still do these action sports. So let's bring some families out to Maine. Let's see what we can do. So we brought some families out for a proof of concept. You have Josh Wetzel from Auburn, Alabama in the orange shirt. You got Andrew Smith from Chattanooga, Tennessee in the blue shirt. Both double-leg amputees. You got myself and my buddy Taylor. He's another quadruple amputee. He's the 5th, and hopefully it stays that way. You know, with the whole quadruple amputations. And then you got our buddy that showed up at the door. Was like, hey, can I come in? And we're like, no. He's like, well, why? I'm missing a leg. And we just said, no one cares about your paper cut. Like, just, like, oh, man. One leg. No, screw boy, he's a fantastic guy. We brought these families out, and we decided, you know what, we have something here. So we went ahead and we bought a facility, and we bought Elizabeth Arden's old facility she built in 1929. She was a cosmetic pioneer, one of the richest people in the world. Forget just being a rich female in 1929. I mean, we're talking about richest person. And her place went to really bad disrepair. So we went ahead and renovated it, and in 2017 we opened up the doors for a all-inclusive veterans retreat for physically injured veterans and their families due to service. So what that tells you is you can be stateside in a car accident, or you can be overseas getting blown up. And if you have something that's physically debilitating, you fit what we do. We have 8 families per week that we bring out, and we're operating 37 in-person weeks and 63 programs total, and we're going to bump that number even higher. But when people come out, we show them a barrier-free resort. I'm not going to lie, I stole one of the therapists from Walter Reed, and she runs the program, so anything we have for activities, she makes adapted for any situation, any paralyzation, amputation, spinal cord injuries. And we've attracted some really cool stuff through the work that we do, like the wall last night. Main Cabin Masters are down there, and Mike Rowe's been doing some stuff on us and other things. But here's the thing, that's one side of it. When I used to go around and speak, people say, what do you do for post-traumatic stress? And I would say, oh, check out Warrior Path Program or Home Base Program. They're the 2 best I know of. Well, Warrior Path Program, they decided they were going to expand their offerings. They're training the trainer, counseling for post-traumatic stress, right? They call it post-traumatic growth. And we signed on to do 12 weeks out of the year with them for combat veterans. Well, ladies and gentlemen, they extended it to first responders. So in this room, you might not know anybody like me with no arms and legs, or in a wheelchair because of service. But if you have a loved one going through post-traumatic stress because of being a combat veteran or first responder, send them to our website. We get $600,000 grant just for this program every year. And we want to give back and help anybody we can. So that's what we do with the foundation. Bring families out, show them to live life off the sidelines, be active with their society and their family, and to live up the slogan, never give up, never quit. You can figure out the rest of it if you want at travismillsfoundation.org. Okay, let's get into healthcare technology. I gotta be honest. What's your name, sir, in the front row? Robert, you've been checking my legs out all day. And Robert, I'm married, so this is all I can do. That's it, Robert. You know what? Okay, so let's talk about how my legs work. First, you get short legs right here in the white shorts. Those don't do anything, they're just stilts. You build your hip flexors up and your muscles, your core. Then you get the tall legs with the green shoelaces. Those ones are just taller. They're just stilts. Nothing special about them. They make you fall faster and harder, I'll be honest. Then you get the ones I'm wearing now. They're called X3s. And X3s are pretty awesome, right? The first cool thing about them is they're microprocessors. So every time they get an adjustment, like side to side, back and forth, internally over 300 adjustments get made per second because they're little computers to keep me as upright as possible. And yes, I do fall every now and then, especially with some margaritas. So that's one thing. The next thing is they're Bluetooth. So my phone, I just click my leg from walk mode to drive mode. It's really cool. Like, say my hands, my foot, elbows, my knee in the scenario. I'm in walk mode. All of a sudden, boom, drive mode. And it locks my leg to a better angle. And I drive like everybody else. They're waterproof, right? Which sounds awesome. Say I wear my boat, my phone, they're waterproof. And then I've had 13, 14 margaritas and I trip and fall in the water. That's 30 pounds. Take me to the bottom. Yeah, I drowned in this scenario. It's real sad. But guess what? Silver lining? When they pull me up, someone's getting these legs donated to them. You know what I'm saying? The last thing is they have got brakes built in. So like when I walk down like jetways and stuff, I can slow myself down. So I go bowling for people. Every now and then though, someone cuts me off. I'm like, oh, you done messed up. I'm like, hey, stop. And wham. Yeah, I don't get it. It's always like a little 10-year-old kid, you know? And the parents are always so bad. And I'm like, well, you need to do better. You know, whatever. No, so that's my legs. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on the screen right now is the absolute most important hand that I own. That hand's called a griper. That hand will close 25 pounds of pressure, and then it will close again to 35 pounds of pressure. It sits in a Crown Royal bag on the top shelf of my closet. Now, why is that the most important hand that I own and I'm not wearing it? Well, my daughter's 11, and she's not dating right now. So we don't allow that. But her mom's going to make that mistake and allow it one day. And let me tell you what's going to happen. Oh, what? She's going on a date? Okay, Kels. Crown Royal back, arm goes on, hand goes down, right? Here comes Johnny. He's like, hey, bro, strike one. I hate being called bro. And that's 25 pounds of pressure. And Johnny's like, dude, that hurts. Strike three. I can't count. How am I supposed to know? Crunch, I break Johnny's hand. And as he's crying, let me go. I don't, actually. No, here's where it gets interesting. I pull him in closer and say, Johnny, guess what? He's like, I don't know what. And I say, no fingerprints, bro. And then I let him go and say, get out of my house. Ladies and gentlemen, I need a volunteer. Is there a volunteer named Felipe Toro in here? Is there a volunteer, Felipe Toro, in here? Come on, big champion. Why? You won't catch someone's life story. Everybody wonders that. They won't. I'm not contagious. Thanks for coming up here. Okay, so I was told that you are going to be a great help because you know about prosthetics.
Yeah, all day.
Yeah? Okay, I didn't think so. Yeah. All right, so I want you to make a fist for me, and I want you to tell people how my hand works. Okay, you have no idea. All right, so I want you to make a fist. I want you to rev the engine on a moped. You rev mopeds. I knew it. I don't blame you. They're fun. I love them. So now come over here closer to me. You're not going to catch someone's legs, all right? So I want you to make a fist, and I want you to rev the engine, go up with it. Just go up. Feel that muscle right here in your arm. So point that little circle on my arm. Tickle, spit it. So that little circle is called a topical sensor. It reads my muscle flexors. So when I flex my muscle slow, rev the engine on a moped slow. I can't tell how fast you're going. I can't hear it. There it is. When I flex my muscle slow, it opens. Now hammer down that Vespa, flex it fast. Rip it up there. Boom. Oh, what? When I flex fast, it goes around to the left. It'll keep going until I stop it. And then flex your hand up, or flex it down. Feel the muscle down here? All right, put a little circle up. Again, topical sensor, so I flex down slow, down fast. And that's how it works. My arm goes to about right here. Now, dumbest thing ever is the voice activating feature that me and two other guys have to try out. I'm not reporting good things about it. I think it's just ridiculous that we spent money on it, but thanks for paying your taxes. So, how this works, I'm supposed to be able to say open, close, turn, and stop, okay? So I hit the button here. Blue lights come on. I say close, it closes. I say open, it's working, that's great. I say turn, it only goes to the left, right? Because come on guys, it's new technology, like I said, it'll keep going until I say the magic word of stop. And then, stop. Okay, stop. All right, whatever. You know what? It's new, whatever. The problem is, say I'm at a party. He's mad because I called him high school, which, by the way, I bet you killed him in high school, you champion. Yeah, well, me too. I knew that. So, say he's mad at me, and I have a margarita party. He's like, hey, Travis, open the door. Look what you just did in my drink. Mr. Toro. But go ahead, because I'm messing with you. Go ahead, give it a close.
Close.
I just said.
Open. Open.
No, yeah, it's baritone soprano bass, so like masculine, like a man.
Open.
No, don't scare it now.
Open.
Nope, you're asking, you gotta tell it.
Open.
No. Think Batman, loud, but also rasping deep. Try that.
Open. Turn.
You notice I said it every time, right? It's not voice activated. It's a lie. It's not voice activated. Let me tell you how he got up here on stage. When I come to an event, I say to the powers that be, I'm not gonna say who did it, but I say I need someone that's likable, wonderful, not gonna punch me, doesn't mind, taking a joke, and is an absolute joy to be around. So the criteria that you met, you're a fantastic person. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I go around travel a lot. Like I'm here today, I was in Grand Rapids last week, I was in New York on actually Monday, and I'm going to Florida tomorrow. Going all over the place, right? And people wonder, is this a facade? Is this just like an act? Because I get paid to do this for a living. And the truth is, it's not. This is actually me. The biggest compliment that I actually get is when people from my past say, oh my gosh, you're the same guy that you were before. And then I got to figure out who's saying it. Because if it's like a teacher, I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm still working on it. But in truth, life's all about perspective. And for me, it's really, really simple. On the screen, you'll see Brandon Goodine, you'll see Francis Sheen Phillips before. Brandon Goodine was 17 when he joined. A month and a half after I was injured, he was on patrol, he hit a bomb. Became a triple amputee at 19 years old. They put him on a stretcher, they took him to the helicopter. On the way to the helicopter, they hit another bomb. He lost his life and left behind a 7-month-old little girl. She'll only know stories and pictures of her father. Francis Sheen Phillips IV was one of my closest friends in the military. One by Frankie, great guy. On his third trip to Afghanistan out of Fort Bliss, Texas, his truck hit a bomb. And everyone in the truck that day died. Left behind his daughter Sophia, his wife, and his mom, and his family and friends. His daughter gave anything for her daddy-daughter dance. His wife would give anything to have in my situation. She's told me that. And she's remarried, doing great. His mom gave anything for just one more phone call that she'll never get. You see, I don't tell you that to make you sad or angry or upset. I tell you that because I can honestly sit there and think, how lucky am I to be here still, to be with my family. I talk to my mom and dad every day. My daughter and me are best friends. My wife and I, this year, 15 years of marriage. I mean, obligated for her, obviously, because I told her if she leaves me, I'll ruin her on social media, but in truth, I'm so fortunate to still be here. So I think it'd be a selfish slap in the face to these two and so many others that I knew that didn't make it back home and their families. So I keep going forward. There's also the doctors and nurses that worked on me. I got to meet 6 of the 9 doctors that worked on me, 4 from here on stage in California. In weeks in advance, I kept emailing my team. Is he mad? Is he angry? Does Travis think this is a curse or a blessing? And I finally broke down and said, guys, thank you for believing that my life mattered. Instead of loosening one tourniquet and letting me bleed out in less than 2 minutes, they gave me blood from their veins. They decided that my life was important enough for 14 hours of their work. So for them, I keep pushing forward. And ladies and gentlemen, I've had one bad day, right? But I've had some really incredible things happen. I have a documentary out. It's called Travis, the Soldier Story. Came in 2014, we won the GI Film Festival for first place. And we have the trailer we're gonna watch, right? So the trailer for me quick? That's okay. Should you hear helicopters? Yeah, we're good.
We had a call that there was an IED threat in the area. We had to go check it out and see if there was one. You know, we went out there as normal. It was supposed to be a pretty quick mission. You know, just a couple hours in the village right next door. Our strong boy in the back.
We were setting the gun in place. Fussy went first, swept the bank.
Went up and down, cleared it. He got about 20 feet away from me. You know, I said, okay. I took my bag off, and set it down, and when I set it down,
Honestly, the first thing that kicked into my mind was, this is not real. This is fake.
I remember actually while we were working on it, one of the things he said was, I just want to be able to hold my little girl.
Do you love your daddy?
Told him I'll be out of here in 10 months. He kept saying, why? You know, what's your big rush? I said, hey Doc, look behind you. I had pictures of me and my wife and my daughter. And I have a family. Like, I live in a hospital bed. Get me out of here.
Yeah, him with Chloe, yeah, she doesn't care who dad is now. Mom's like, it's her dad. So that's all she knows. That's all she knows of him. So to her, nothing was lost. The way I see it.
Seeing him stand up at her side, I could feel so much joy from him. That was like a turning point for us.
I don't understand how he does it.
I think he's meant to lead and help people. Yeah, he faces obstacles and he doesn't let anything stop him.
I believe God's got a plan for all of us. And after seeing Travis in action, the word bravery has more meaning to me now than it ever has.
All right, so that was done in 14. Thank you. And you can find it on Amazon, iTunes right now. I have a new documentary came out with Magnolia Network on Veterans Day. So if you guys go to HBO Max or Discovery Plus and type in "Hi, I'm Travis," which somehow I forgot the name of it when I was trying to tell something like that on Veterans Day when it came out. Embarrassing. But I had, a new one out that Chip and Joanna Gaines did with me, so I'm proud of that one as well. We just didn't have a trailer for it. And on top of that, I wrote a book. It's called Tough As They Come. It's a New York Times bestseller, and the truth is, the story will tell itself, right? I'm really proud of how it came out. Thankful for the opportunity to have written it. But the most important part to me is the author's note. And it's going to tell you two things, right? Number one, my problems don't outweigh anybody else's. Might sound silly, right? I have no arms and legs standing up here in front of you, but I think in this room collectively, we probably know somebody going through cancer. Probably know somebody that's in a car accident or financial hardship, or maybe they have horrible anxiety. We know somebody going through something is my point. And we're all in this together, so if my story can help anybody, please pass it along. Do a lot of fun videos with my family and whatnot, but I don't want anybody to ever think that what they go through is lesser or, not as important as what I go through, because, I'm fortunate to still be here. And the next thing it's going to tell you is, you know what? I didn't serve any more than anybody else. I didn't fight any harder, nothing more brave or heroic. I don't deserve to be put on any more of a pedestal. So if you did serve, Army, Air Force, Coast Guard, Navy, and yeah, those well-dressed Marines, I'm just so jealous of those uniforms. Thank you for your service. If you're a Vietnam era veteran or you have one in your family, welcome home. And thank you for your service. You didn't get that, but you deserved it. So ladies and gentlemen, I get the chance to travel around and do this, and when we get done with this, I know that the boss is coming up here, we're gonna do a Q&A. I want you guys to not feel embarrassed or worried about what you ask me. Nothing's gonna bother me, you're not gonna offend me. Let me just start you off. Still got it. Still works. Yeah, you guys get it now. Okay, so my son is 5 now. My son Dax is the champion. We're so fortunate to have him in our lives. He's one of my best friends, and he's just absolutely a true joy. My wife and I are fortunate to, have another child, and everything, like I said, is going fantastic. So I want to tell you guys the 2 life lessons I live by before we bring up the big show over here. You're gonna steal the stage from me. You're so good up here. I'm like sweating and nervous about how you're gonna make me look. But everybody wonders, like what motivates me, what pushes me. If you guys didn't hear anything else in the last, 50 minutes or whatever, or 55 minutes, and that's fine, because here's the 2 life lessons that I live by that I want to pass along to you. Number one, don't dwell on the past. Just reminisce it. I used to sit in my hospital bed and I close my eyes and I hope and I wish and I pray that this never happened. I would think, okay, when I open my eyes, this nightmare is going to be over. I'm going to be back in Afghanistan with my guys. And I opened my eyes and I was in the hospital bed, no arms, no legs. And I realized early on, I'm not going to change the past. What happened to me in Afghanistan is going to stick with me, but it's my choice if I'm going to keep dwelling on it, or if I'm just going to go ahead and reminisce the 25 years with arms and legs that I had that were amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, I've had 11 years, this past April made 11 years for me being injured that have been absolutely incredible as well. So instead of dwelling on the past, I just reminisce and I push forward to a better future. The next thing I tell everybody is you can't always control your situation, but you can always control your attitude. My situation doesn't change. When I went to my house in Maine, I wake up in my bed, right? No arms and legs on. I jump to my wheelchair. I get my arm off the charger, and I go make my coffee. I set my wife's coffee up. She wakes up, she comes out, the kids come out, and we go about our day. Because I'm in control of my attitude. And I'll make the absolute best of every situation that I can. I know how lucky I am to make through injuries and how fortunate I am to live in a country where I really can do what I want. I mean, it's impressive to have prosthetics that will help me walk, drive, and do everything I need to do because people out there support us and care about us. So, your job's not easy, okay? Straight up, not easy. It's gotta be mentally taxing. It's gotta be definitely nerve-wracking, and I appreciate everything that you guys do. The fact that you guys signed on to deal with risk management and trying to find every single thing that could go wrong and fix it before it happens is just impressive. It takes a special group of people. So I'm honored to share a room with you today. I thank you for the time you let me talk with you, and I hope you guys enjoy the celebration. And we're doing Q&A, and after that we're drinking, so less questions. But thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
So who wants to ask the first question? I'll ask.